Counter-Strike really stole my heart when I stumbled across Warcraft 3 and Superhero mod servers. Both of these custom game modes greatly extended my interest in classic Counter-Strike. They were very creative projects that are largely quiet now as the player base has moved on to more popular game modes. But let's dig into these incredibly unique custom game modes that are sadly becoming forgotten. In Superhero game mode, you got to pick from a variety of heroes and use their powers. For example, I can run around as Wolverine and shoot Cyclops lasers out of my eyeballs at the same time. It's a pretty sweet concept, this fusion of powers that you get to control. So how this mod works is you have to gain experience points to unlock new levels and in turn, new heroes. Initially, you start off at level 0, and when you finally unlock that first level and snag your first hero, it feels pretty cool. You get to browse the hero list and read little descriptions about what they do. A lot of the heroes you'll pick at first have passive abilities. Superman gives you low gravity and more health. Captain America gives you a random few seconds of invulnerability to bullets, which could mean life or death. And one of my favorites is Punisher, allowing you infinite ammo so you can spam forever. As you level up, you get access to stronger heroes, which you'll definitely need to actually stand a chance against the higher level players. The most important early hero to have right off the bat is Spider-Man. Spidey gives you the web slinging ability. It even has that squishy quick sound Spider-Man's web shooter makes. As a newbie, you should get familiar with using this power fast. Knowing how to swing around the map and get positioned faster than the enemy is really important. Look at the speed you can gain with this hero too. You can also use it like a pogo stick to boost yourself up higher, or just bounce around. I spent so much time in my youth trying to master the Spider-Man web, and rightfully so. It takes a long time to amass experience points in this game mode. You'd be using Spidey for quite some time until you reach the coveted level 9. At level 9 is when you get Batgirl. She gives you a hookshot power and it's cheap as hell. Where Spider-Man has you swinging around, Batgirl is point and go. So much more powerful. You can zoom across the map in seconds with this ability, and it was common for players to rarely touch the ground with this hero. They'd constantly be hooking everywhere while spraying their weapons into the plebs on the ground. Once you had Batgirl, you were truly able to fight back against those high-level elitists. Lots of modders for Superhero mod would make custom hero plugins, and some of them departed from the classic Marvel hero title, like Vash the Stampede for those of you anime enjoyers. You get Vash's revolver from the show, which replaces the deagle, and it does a bunch of extra damage. The gun looks pretty cool too, and I'd say it's pretty faithful looking to the original series. Another departure was Morpheus from The Matrix. This hero gets dual MP5Ks with a tiny damage boost, and look at those reloading animations. I remember when I first saw these dual MP5 models and thought how sweet they looked. I couldn't wait to get leveled up and pick this hero myself, just badass. People got nuts with all the custom heroes they made. There was that 1980s slasher movie character, Chucky. There were Star Wars heroes like Yoda and Darth Maul. I think there was a Taliban hero too. I don't remember what that hero did, but you'd see all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Even the subscribe hero was pretty cool too. Well, not a real hero, but you should subscribe for more Counter-Strike modding history. I do appreciate it. There were countless more custom heroes people made, but half the fun of joining up on one of these servers in the 2000s was seeing all the custom heroes servers would offer. You'd quickly have a favorite server because they had heroes you liked best. Superhero mod is mostly defunct these days. I could only find a single server hosting the mod, and you guessed it, it was empty. Back when this mod was popular, its biggest competitor was Warcraft 3 mod, which consistently had a bigger player base and lasted much longer as the mod of choice for custom game mode players. We'll talk about the Warcraft 3 mod in a moment, but with the addition of other game modes like Warcraft, football, zombies, surf, and gun games, Superhero mod fell to the wayside for pretty obvious reasons. As years went on, players started getting really good at Superhero mod, good at Counter-Strike in general, like some serious killers, some scientists. If you were new to a server and kept getting steamrolled from the second you joined, you'd likely lose interest in the mod. So not only were players getting better and decimating newcomers, but ranking up in this mod took forever too. You may be spending a solid month to get to the max level, which was level 10. At 8 experience points per kill, and a needed 51,000 experience points to get to level 10, we're talking 6,400 kills. With players zooming across the map while spamming weapons and infinite ammo and damage multipliers, it's such an uphill battle to even compete. In short, Superhero mod was wildly imbalanced, and in earnest, that's what made it so much fun. Feeling that powerful and destroying people was just so awesome. The mod was best played in big maps like Big City 1 and 2 and basically anything Nipper map related. The large levels allowed you to feel this exhilaration of zipping around at high speeds, probably in pursuit of another high-level player, while the other low-level players slowly crawled the ground for at least one kill before you swooped down and took him out. Yep, I don't think this game mode's coming back anytime soon. Now we're going to talk about Superhero Mod's competitor, Warcraft 3 mod. Players usually had a die-hard preference for one or the other, and most preferred Warcraft 3. I loved them both, but Warcraft 3 had a much bigger appeal for some pretty obvious reasons. Warcraft, the game series, was a massive hit in the early 2000s. Many PC gamers playing CS were already familiar with Warcraft, and experiencing some level of it in Counter-Strike was super exciting. Amazingly, I played Warcraft 3 mod in CS before I ever played the actual Blizzard title. Imagine that. I'm sure I'm not alone on that either. Once you connect to a Warcraft server, you're greeted with a race selection. You can pick from 4 different classes. The humans, as they level up, get invisibility, and they can get really invisible. Can you spot the CT in this room? Yeah, pretty cool. They also get health increased up to 145 HP, and sometimes when you shoot someone, you get a small chance of immobilizing them. Oh, it's also important to point out that at level 6 with all these races, you get an ultimate ability. For humans, you get a teleport. It's super sneaky and sounds pretty cool too. Next are the orcs. They get a small chance of multiplying their damage from 2 to 4 times as much. Their grenades do 2 to 6 times more damage, and if you die, there's a chance you'll respawn with the same equipment you started with. That'll save quite a bit of money, which is important for buying stuff from the shop, which we'll talk more about later. The Orc Ultimate allows you to shoot Shaman Chain Lightning, which can jump from player to player. Doesn't that look awesome? After Orcs, we have the Night Elves, which are arguably the most overpowered class. Ability 1 is Evasion, allowing the player to evade taking damage when shot at. Night Elves also pack a punch with damage as they get the True Shot aura, multiplying their damage at max level by as much as 45%. That's a lot of damage. They also get Thorns, which reflects damage back to the attacker. So many players have died simply by attacking someone playing as a Night Elf. Incredibly frustrating. And that's not even the worst part about fighting these guys. Their ultimate ability is Entangle, which immobilizes an enemy by a whole 10 seconds. It really sucks getting caught out in the open like that. So cheap. Lastly, the Undead are a playable class too. They start off with Vampiric Aura, which gives them health back upon attacking an enemy. Undead also get Unholy Aura, which gives them a speed boost. This means running with the heaviest weapon like the Paramachine Gun is the same speed as running with a knife. My favorite ability of theirs is Levitation. It doesn't allow you to no-clip up into the sky, but instead you can just float around. Really nice for boosting yourself up into normally unreachable places. Now, I did mention the Night Elf Ultimate as being the biggest annoyance, but on par with that is the Undead Ultimate. When Undead die, they kamikaze into this massive explosion. If you're too close to a freshly killed Undead player, they will likely destroy you on their way out. This ability made me rage so many times back in the day. Absolutely annoying. Now, on top of all the cool class mechanics, we have the shop you can use your round winnings on. There's a lot of cool things in here, like the Tome of Experience, which will give you more EXP towards a level. The Claws of Attack were a very important item as it boosted your damage output greatly. And the Necklace of Immunity made you immune to enemy ultimates. Super useful. There were some goofy items like the Sock of the Feather, which allowed you to jump higher, and the Boots of Speed, making you a tiny bit faster. If you wanted to spend the big bucks, Chameleon morphed you into looking like an enemy player. So many shenanigans were pulled with this one. You'd also sometimes freak out players in spawn because there was another item called Mole, which teleported you into the enemy spawn. If the enemy team wasn't very aware and keeping notice of all their teammates, it was easy spawn killing. So many rounds were ruined for people with this item. You were surely paranoid after either of these two items were used against you in a match. This is the bare bones version of Warcraft 3 mod. There were other expansions that gave you access to more heroes and classes. The most popular expansion was the Frozen Throne version. Not only did it expand the class roster, but the shop menu got expanded too. This version had players really hooked, as you could spend more time leveling up each class. Man, there were a lot of them. Unfortunately, Warcraft 3 mod met the same fate that Superhero mod did. Player skills became hard to compete with, higher leveled players on servers were too hard to fight against, and other custom game modes became easier and more fun for players to play and access. You can still find Warcraft 3 being played once in a blue moon on 1.6, but it's really not as popular as it once was. You can even play a version of it in CSS and CSGO. You're usually going to be up against bots though, as most community server players are more interested in sliding down triangles these days. Nonetheless, the mod persists into the modern era of Counter-Strike, which makes me pretty happy. I should mention both Superhero and Warcraft 3 mod offered fast EXP modes, but those modes were overshadowed by players because it didn't feel like enough of an investment in comparison to the long-term EXP modes. In fast EXP mode, you, well, got EXP faster, and when the map changed, it all reset to 0. Me and many other players liked the long-term EXP mode, as those servers we played in felt like true investments, not only into our classes we chose, but an investment into that niche little community we played with, night after night. All those familiar faces trying to level up alongside you felt so special. Fast EXP versions of the mods couldn't really compare to that. But I loved both of these mods to pieces because they really spiced Counter-Strike up for me. When I got into CS 1.6, I played on default servers for about a month or two before I found out about the custom modding scene in this game. These two game modes kept my interest long after I exhausted the base game. The server communities that gathered around these mods made my Counter-Strike experience so much more fun. I dedicate this to the Superhero server admin Vash, aka The Ring, for running an awesome Superhero clan server in 2003, as well as Squirrel's Team Techno clan server for hosting the best hook and rope mod Warcraft 3 server on the entire master list. You guys made my childhood awesome. I appreciate you both immeasurably for hosting those servers and stealing months of my life from me playing on them. Lastly, if you're looking to experience some of these mods in old Valve titles, join the folks over at Gold Source Saturdays to relive these old titles. They host weekly sessions on Saturdays at noon Pacific Standard Time, and you get to vote on which games to play each week. They're an awesome group of people, and we'd love for you to join us, not just for nostalgic fun, but to rebuild communities around these games we once loved and continue to love. Feel free to share your experiences with these mods too. I love reading your stories about old clan servers, your favorite heroes, and which mod out of the two you liked more. Reading your experiences is an awesome trip down memory lane for me, so big props to anyone who takes the time to share. And with that, subscribe, as we have much more Counter-Strike modding history to cover.